to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience.
Yes, sir.
We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. Happy Athletics LLC Day. We're back. Here we are, episode after episode after episode. We keep going like the Energizer Bunny. So let me go ahead and introduce the three gentlemen here on the screen with me, and we'll go ahead and start addressing some current topics that have been itching to come out of our mouths to discuss. So, as always, we have Lamar, it's track season Huffins.
Let's get it.
Sir Lucious.
Hello, everyone.
And last but not least, Clyde.
Track is back. Happy impeachment. Let's roll.
Right? I wonder how many hashtags we can jump in there.
Happy
Right
impeachment.
in there. Love it. Love it. So, coming out the gates hot with a current topic that dropped earlier this afternoon, with the announcement that the national NCAA indoor meet will now be a 3-day contest. How will that play into the road to the team championships? So for those of you who haven't seen this post or the announcement or what have you, the genders are split. Men are competing earlier in the day, women are at the evening session, and then the day one of the event and the weight and some prelims will be contested on the Thursday. So how do we think?
No prelims on Thursday.
Oh, just kidding. I mean, no, that'll be on Thursday and then prelims going forward. So how do we feel this will shape our new ending?
The way it was dropped, like it was some big major thing, threw me off a little bit. You know, the headline was indoor moves to 3 days. So I'm like, oh, wait, but that sounds interesting. And I look at it and I'm like, oh, wait, all they really did was move the multis out, which obviously makes sense, especially given, you know, COVID protocols. And ultimately, I imagine that's what the split gender thing is about, keeping the minimal amount of people in the building as possible, COVID protocols. So all the changes make, you know, academic, medical sense to me. But I didn't notice any major changes in the order of events or in, you know, what happens outside of the regular order. So I don't really think it's going to change what would have or could have happened at the meet much at all. The outdoor splitting of the genders, which was obviously not done for anything that has to do with COVID, has been really successful and interesting to watch. So maybe it'll play better on TV. But as far as points scored and who comes out on the top, I don't really think the changes have much to do with anything.
I don't think it. I don't think it'll change. The best team is going to be the best team. I think it'll change a little bit of the energy in the building, because you won't have both the men's and women in there. It'll definitely lead to longer days for those of us who coach men and women's teams that, you know, are successful and have a dog in the fight, so to speak. I think for me, if they probably could have done a little bit more done on Thursday. If we're really trying to keep, you know, a little bit separate. But I think the problem is like figuring out what to do on Thursday to not, quote unquote, give somebody an advantage in some areas. So I think that's why they went with just the multis and then with the weight throws that made it easier. And if you look at the schedule, the only time that there's women's and men's events going on at the same time is the multis, and then the men's and women's shot put both are at 11 o'clock on Thursday. I mean, on Friday, sorry. Yeah, but other than that, I think it's just an attempt to keep everybody safe or make it safer. I think that in some ways, I think they're trying to create a bubble situation, you know, but we have to understand, but when they leave, the men and women go back together again. So,
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like I too, like, I got excited about the fact that the meet was going to 3 days, and then when I saw its machination, I was like, okay, this was a useless exercise. What, in my opinion, nobody ever asked for it, what would have been better would have been to split the genders over the 3 days. So do the combined events on the men's side and the men's championship, we'll just make that up, on Thursday, and then the finals of the men on Friday. I guess we're still doing this morning and afternoon thing, and then do the pentathlon and the women's meet on Friday and Saturday. So the men's meet would have been Thursday, Friday, and the women's meet would have been Friday, Saturday, or vice versa. The gender's not relevant, but that would have actually still been better for COVID, fewer bodies in the buildings, and you would have had better atmosphere on all 3 days across the, and you're not having a day where you just have the multis and the throws, which most people are not even going to go see because of COVID, right? Like, you don't want to have just random people standing around in the building. So now what you've done is you took those 24 combined eventers and those 24 weight throwers and put them in a building by themselves.
Okay, so let's add something to this. I believe I read that coaches can't go in the venue, like unless maybe obviously field event coaches can, but I don't think running event coaches can't go in the venue. So we have to watch everything on the screen. There are no fans in the stands at all. And here's the biggest caveat that this was announced by Arkansas, put this out a couple of weeks ago. This just kind of slid under the radar. No pre-meet practices on the track at all.
Mm.
Oh, well, now that'll change the outcome of the meet more.
Yeah, there's the biggest issue right there. So as of, I guess, Tuesday, nobody can get on the track.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, to me, if you split it up my way, you still keep everybody safe by ways of COVID, and you have a better track meet. Like, I know we have a COVID situation.
But why is it a better track meet? It's still the same situation. It's just different times. You still got the same people in the building, just at a different time.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what you said.
All you did was shift. You took the men from Friday morning and put them on Thursday evening. That's all you did.
But there's not a day that there's almost nobody in the building. See, like, I'm thinking from the combined eventers and the throwers standpoint, like, Thursday is going to be an echo chamber.
It always is.
I mean,
no,
yeah.
it
yes.
isn't. There are other people in the building.
No.
The whole time?
All right. You know what? This is one of those conversations that is useless to have given the audience that I'm having it with. So I'm not going to have it anymore.
Hold on a second. I'm not going to let you disrespect me like that. Hold on a second. See, first of all,
it is what it is. You just said there's nobody in the building normally, right?
Okay. There's not a lot of people in the building, and there's no other events going on when the pent and the HEP start. They're not. Now, by the end of them, there's more people filtered into the building, but the beginning of those competitions, nobody in the building.
The end of them, like when it matters, right? So
now you changing.
No, I'm not changing my argument. This is my argument. If you're a pentathlete, right, you're going to compete your entire NCAA championship for the roughly 15 people.
Okay, so here's the deal.
24.
It's going to be 32 because the pent and the HEP are in there at the same time.
And you got officials and the coaches, so call it 60 people.
Oh, my bad. Go get them, kids.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. Okay. No,
Next.
hold on a second. I'm gonna make my point, and then you can go next all you want. Right. So again, we're picking on something that has nothing to do. This again, like you said, this is for COVID reasons. So it's not like anybody's picking on the multi-eventers. So let that go.
Okay.
It's not a thing. Okay.
Do you feel?
So I'm gonna tell you like I tell everybody else. Stop complaining because guess what? We could not have the meet at all. That'd be the other solution to this. So instead of us looking on what they try to do.
Do you feel like the multis are being attacked, Lamar?
For what?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How? Tell us how.
Nope. I'm not.
They got attacked.
See that's a piece of petty cheese that just went right by, and I'm gonna let it go.
No,
I'm not gonna bite. I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna let y'all handle it. Y'all got 3 days. It'll be a wonderful meet. I wish everybody the best.
All right, you. You don't want to go.
Because he doesn't have a leg to stand on. That's all it is. So.
Oh, I definitely have more than one leg to stand on.
No, you do. You have none to stand on.
Okay, I'll let you tell it.
I just did. I'll have to tell it. I already told it.
Sounds good.
Yep. Sounds wonderful
Do
to
you
me.
feel well that you're not in the hot seat right now? You're not on the receiving end of that.
Oh.
Okay. Well, let's push the other hot button that happened today. Turning pro early. What could, should, or would be the benefits or deficits to doing so?
Oh, we're holding. All right.
Just dangling that one out there.
That's fine. I'll go. Listen, I'm sure most of the fans of this show noticed the big news out of Florida today that Mr. Knighton, I hope I'm saying that right, has turned pro with Adidas. If anybody saw the kid race, be it in person or online this summer, and watched that national record he set, obviously amazing talent and just a phenomenal athlete. And so I want to be clear. Props to the kid, props to his family. I totally understand why they would do this. I have no understanding why anybody signs these children to these positions at these ages. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And the fact of the matter is that in the past 20, 30 years, there's been 2 of these experiments that have worked out well. Allison Felix and Noah Lyles. And all the rest of them have ended very, very poorly.
Yep.
Very poorly.
Yep.
So get your money. I hope it's guaranteed. I hope there's no reductions. Do your thing, young man. We wish you well. But from a sport standpoint, I don't think it's good for the sport. I think it's, usually turns out tragic. And I think all of these kids would benefit mightily and have much longer, more established, more successful professional careers if they went through the NCAA system and learned how to take losses and get baptized by that system, because the top of the NCAA is world-class athletics. And if you can't run through that gauntlet, probably don't have any business stepping into the pro ranks.
Yeah. So I'm just going to dive right in on this one. First of all, I have no earthly idea how a shoe company can justify giving a kid a 6-year deal who has 2 years left in high school, where he will have, in theory, high school competition to compete against, which clearly now he will not, because he can't compete against high schoolers. So now you're going to take a 16-year-old kid and probably at least one of his parents and parade him around the country and subsequently the world, because if he's going to be a pro track athlete, that's what's got to happen. And we have no earthly idea who he really is. He's still going through puberty. And if you look at the rest of these deals, they haven't been like, these 2 were phenomenal, which they were, and then these were solid, and these were not so good, and then these were horrible. We got these 2 were tremendous, and the rest have been horrible. Like, there is no middle ground. And for the life of me, I don't even look. I'm one of those people that I keep things as simple as carbon. If the average age of an Olympic medalist is 25 to 28, why are we giving a 6-year deal with no cuts to a kid who's 16? Like, that doesn't even make any financial sense. Because in theory, if I'm paying you, I have expectations. So now you're telling me, what, I'm expecting you to make this Olympic team at 16? Okay, good luck with that in this country. So now the Olympic window is shrunk, right? So that means the next, assuming we combat COVID and we get back to a normal schedule. So now we got world championships the following year at 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have, I'm just trying to make sure I got this right. Then we got world championships Again?
Yeah.
24,
Right?
25, yeah.
Because next 24 is the next games in theory.
So we got Olympics in 21. We got Worlds in 22. Worlds in 23.
Yeah.
And Olympics in 24.
Yes.
And Worlds in 25. So let's see if I got this right. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We got his first 5 major championship attempts are age 20 and below.
You got to add a year to one of those because he'll be 17 by the time that one happens.
Sure.
Okay, so
21.
it's 17 to 21, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Lucious. I'm sorry, Sir Lucious. I don't want to unknight you. You ballpark. You've been doing this for a fair amount of time, as have I, but I trust your ilk on this better. How many 21-year-old medalists have you seen in track and field?
Olympic medalists?
I'll take Worlds or Olympics. I think wasn't how old was Karan? 21?
Karan was 20. Was he 20 when he won his first medal? I think he was 19 when he made his first final.
So he was 20 when he won his first medal.
I think he might have been 20 years old when he won the world championship. Either 20 or 21 when he won the Worlds.
So he had to get there twice to come out with a medal.
That's the caveat right there.
And Karan was in college for how long?
2 years.
Okay. So let me ask this question.
Because he was 19 when he broke the world record in 2005. And then
So
made Worlds and he was 4th in 2005. So
you've been coaching at the
21.
international level. You've been coaching at the international level for, if I do this correctly, 27 years? 93?
91.
Okay, so 29 years. So in your 29 years, you've seen how many? How many?
I've been coaching longer than Chu's been alive, so you just crushed me right there.
So in 29 years of elite level track and field, you've seen. How old was Allison when she won a medal?
She didn't win a medal in her first one, did she?
No.
So she was 22?
Yep.
Okay, so I want you to just imagine.
Ish.
We know how hard this
Flamingo was 22. Noah was 22. Yeah.
So we know how hard this sport is, right? So this young man is going to do 5 years in a row of major championship probable. I don't want to predict his failure. I'm just going to say this. It is going to be insanely tough for him to make teams, let alone make finals at major championships. And all the while, he's going to be running around with this wonderful albatross of hundreds of thousands of dollars around his neck. And every athlete who races him going, I'm getting a piece of that. I'm getting a piece of that. I'm getting a piece of that. Because we all know how athletes are, right? If I'm a pro and I've been pro for 6 or 7 years and I got no deal, I'm for sure I'm going to beat you every time. If I got to race you, that's one of my goals.
Isn't that another part of this that kind of has a lot of us looking like, really? Because it's COVID and there are hundreds of documented pro athletes losing their contracts.
Yes.
But we got whatever this is to pay a 16-year-old.
I mean, look, in Lucious's 29 years, we come up with one 21-year-old and a couple of 22-year-olds, right? And what we're saying is, think about this. His contract is up at age 22. How is there going to be success in there? Like, for me, I always think about, like, when someone offers you a contract, one of the first questions you need to ask is, what does success look to you in my fulfillment of this contract? And so the question I have for this young man's crew, because it's not on him, he's doing the right things, right? The question I have for the people in his corner is, what does success look like by ways of the company that offered you this contract? Because I can't imagine they gave him that money to make junior national teams.
Yeah. So
let's be honest, there's no guarantee he's going to make those.
Yeah, well, if he runs what he's running, he'll make those. So. But
But
okay,
we also
so
know that year to year is different.
there is, but I'm just saying, if he runs those, he'll make it. Okay, so here's my thing. Obviously, the money's there. It's money's off, but you got to take it. For me, from a business sense, if you're gonna give the kid a long-term deal like that, the young man, I'm gonna call him. If you give this young man a long-term deal like that, then I would assume that you're looking for development. I would assume that you believe that over this 6-year period, he will grow into the contract. That's what I'm assuming. And maybe that's a bad assumption, because I don't think anybody in their right mind believes this young man is going to jump on the world stage and dominate. Okay. I think that if you watch the young man, I mean, he's weak. He's technically got a lot of things to do better. So there's a tremendous upside to him. The other problem in this sport is we're always looking for the next one. And every time a 16-year-old runs 20.3 anything, what's the first thing that comes out of everybody's mouth?
He's the next Bolt.
Exactly. And there is no such thing as the next Bolt, right? But everybody's looking for the next Bolt. And there's your problem. So whether it was the young ladies that we've given a lot of money to, I don't want to start throwing names out there, I don't want to be unfair, or even some of the young men we've given money to, like, everybody's looking for the next big thing, because it's become this thing with the shoe companies, like, I want to have the next big thing. Nobody wants to give the little money to the people and let them develop. We've beat that subject to death before, right? But in this man's case, I believe that if I'm on his team, what I'm saying to him is, this is not about where you are right now. Okay, this is where are you at 19 and 20? Because you're going to get it past the first 2 years, because you have to develop. You're still growing. You're still learning and all this stuff. Now, when we get to be 19 years old, we need to be challenging to make teams. And when we're 20, we got to be making the team. And when we're 21, we need to be making finals, because then he's doing enough to stay in the sport. But what can't happen is we can't show up at 19 years old and we can't make the U.S. junior team. That's a problem. So I think if it's me and I'm with his team, I've got a long-term plan for success, because realistically, there's nobody with Adidas that thinks that young man is going to be, they got the best guy in the world. He beat him, right? So, I think, realistically, if it's me, I think there is a long-term plan to this. I believe that they believe that he will develop into a great guy over time. And of course, and again, too, it's a bidding war. Because all it takes is one shoe company start talking to him, then the rest of them jump in, no, I want him, and then all of a sudden, and that's the beauty of what the agents do. They get everybody talking about it,
So to that point, do we feel like this is more about shoe company keep away than it is who should or should not be pro?
Absolutely. Isn't it always? Okay. So we go back and we talk about we talked about the people that have not made it. Okay. And if every one of those young people had showed up on somebody's campus and spent 1 or 2 or 3 years, like you said, learning the ins and outs of how this works. Okay. They're all better off right now. Now, they're not as rich as they are 100%. Right now, but they're all better off as far as athletes right now. And you never know, they might be even richer because they're running faster at the collegiate level.
And that's kind of how I see a lot of these situations. I almost see it like record company deals, right? Like you gonna put up the flash money and take the hit because you're like, oh, this is on the table. I'm in. But the people that play it a different way end up with 10, 20, 30-year careers and make way more money in the long run. And that's, like I said, look, he's an American. I want the boy on the team. I want him to win medals. I'm rooting for him.
Absolutely. But again, you're right. There has to be a long-term plan of development. Like I said, I just knowing the situation, being here in Florida and watching the young man, there's nobody way anybody believes that they signed this young man to be an instant star. They did not. This is about long-term development. This is about keeping him away from the other shoe companies. And again, as soon as they run 20.3, anything, the first thing out of their mouth is he's the next Bolt. So everybody's trying to find the next Bolt.
And for the audience, Bolt 16 ran what?
I don't know.
19.7.
1978 or something like that.
When he was 16?
Yes.
He ran like
Yes.
2040 something when he was 15
Yeah.
in Jamaica.
So when
There's
at
a
the
little-
World
there's a little
Juniors in Jamaica, he was 15, not 16?
When World
There's a little
Championship, when
difference.
World Juniors was in Jamaica, I think he was 15.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he ran that fast at 16.
Just a little bit fast. That's all. Just a little.
But the funny part is
different.
he
Little
didn't
variance
he didn't make the final of his first major championship either.
No,
No, he
he
didn't.
didn't. No, he didn't.
It's a growth process.
It's a growth process, and I'm gonna come across as a hater, and I'm really not. Like I gave up the hate a long time ago. Here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of the now-ness of this contract retarding the young man's approach to his ceiling, right? Like he's run 20.3. I want to see him run 19.3. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just don't. I think because look, we've said this on this show probably 100 times. Being a professional track and field athlete is the hardest sport there is to be a pro at, because you're racing grown men and grown women from everywhere in the world every single year. And this isn't a failure-based sport like baseball, so where you're hardened to that, right? Most of the people who are at the elite portion of our sport don't lose very often and have not lost very often coming up. And what I'm saying is a young man who has a chance to not win anything for the next 3 or 4 years, and he could still be getting better.
Now,
right?
To correct myself, I don't know the math of how old Bolt is, but in 2002, he ran 2058. In 2003, 2013, and in 2004, the year we were discussing, 1993.
He wasn't 16 in 2004.
But how old was he in?
He was 15. He's either 15 or 16 in 2002.
So 17.
We were in Jamaica.
1993.
Yeah,
Yes,
17.
I think he was 15 in World Juniors.
Right.
There you go. 1993 and 2030 are a little different. So people don't do that. Don't do the Bolt, please.
Well, we'll see. First of all, he got another year to get to 1993, so let's give him a chance.
There you go.
So, but what I'm gonna say this, and I talk about this a lot. I think that we too often we give these contracts to these young people, and then like, what's their motivation to go out and work hard and run fast?
Well, now that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Well, but that's
Right.
that's part. That's
So
just
actually,
part of what
let's stick there.
what Lamar just spoke to.
Let's stick there for a second, because that's interesting. To that point, if the contract to Kid X is guaranteed for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, because we've seen 10-year guarantees, if they're guaranteed, that's a very appropriate question. What's the motivation? If they screw up, if they don't, they still gonna get their money. On the flip side, so everybody says, yeah, take the money. But if they weren't guaranteed, then the decision to turn pro becomes real dumb. So it's a very interesting situation to be there.
But to Lamar's point that he touched on earlier, like, that's the issue here. Okay, like, what's this young man's motive? Hopefully he's a driven young man. He wants to be great and he wants to do even better than he's doing. But a big problem is, and we've seen this a lot with these contracts, they get this money, and it's not even just the high school athletes they get. They get
the early collegiates too.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing for me is we're giving money to athletes who haven't done anything. I had an athlete get very upset with me once because they thought they were worth a lot of money, and they're like, I'm like, well, you haven't done anything. Well, I was the NCAA champion. I'm like I said, you haven't done anything.
Well, that's the other part of it, right? Like, the majority of the kids, young adults who leave college early, don't finish their 4 years, turn pro early. The majority of those people end up as busts. We're talking about children.
Right.
It blows my mind.
It goes back to something we spoke on this before, that we have to stop giving money out for times. Like, oh my God, so and so ran. I had a discussion once about a sprinter that ran 9.8 and won the NCAA championships, and I'm like, that becomes 10 flat when he gets to Europe. Why can you say that? Because he doesn't start well, and they're not coming back. See, these cats came back to him. Those cats don't come back, and guy never broke 10 flat again in his life.
I mean, what do you know about track though? Why would anybody listen to you?
Why would they?
That's the part that makes me laugh though. Is that you just wonder who are the people that are in these rooms making these decisions?
Well, see again, it's okay. You have to look at it again, but look at the big picture here. This is all about greed. Everybody wants the shoe companies want to control the lanes in the big leagues. It's important to the shoe companies that when you go to the USA Championships, there's 6 guys from their company in the 100-meter final. And those are the buzz, the mile and the freaking 100. Those are the buzz events now. They're going to pay for those every single time. Every time. So you get said, think about it. Every time a high school athlete runs 4:01, people lose their minds. There's a young man from Florida that did it last summer. And he's chasing it all summer long, trying to run 4 minutes. But anybody figured out 4 minutes isn't fast.
I've been saying that for like 15 years. that would literally be like us in the speed and power event areas, like going crazy because a kid is about to jump 7 feet, or going crazy because a kid's about to run under 10. It's like, we all know it's not that fast. Like, it would be really cool if Matt Bowling had run 9.99 win legal. It would have been really cool. But that's what every one of us would have said is, that's really cool.
But there's people out there, the fact that he did it when dated, and they think like
who think he broke a record.
He's like, and now he's the next Bolt, right?
Oh, we heard that. We heard that for a good year and a half.
Yeah. And again, people won't think I'm crazy. Contrary to popular belief, 9.99 isn't fast. It's not. It's not.
I mean, look,
it's serviceable, as my man Daryl Anderson would say, but it's not fast.
I mean, look, that's just kind of the deal, right? Is it like people keep? It's like we're celebrating the brand new shiny VCR. It's not fast anymore.
Let's talk about these lanes and these meets that these lanes are in, and so I segue over to the ATL, the American Track League, and what are our thoughts? How are we feeling about the indoor meet series that's going to be coming up here domestically, held here in the States, and televised?
Yeah.
If not,
well, first of all, I want to say to anybody and everyone that's watching this, if you know Paul Doyle when you see him, shake his hand. If you don't see him and you know him, send him a text message. If you, whatever, stand up in your living rooms right now and give the man a round of applause, because what he has done to put this together, to make this happen, has been phenomenal. And, he needs, just kudos to Mr. Doyle. I'm excited about it. What my hope and prayer is that, okay, now that COVID has forced this upon us and Paul has shown that it can be done, that others will join in with Paul and help it make it even bigger and better as we move forward. I think, Lamar has been yelling this into the phone at me for years that it can be done. It's not like there's not facilities here in the U.S., right? It's not like the tracks aren't always available. Because like clearly Arkansas is not running meets on Sunday. That's why he can go there and do it. So now other facilities need to get involved, other agencies need to get involved. If people will embrace this, I think it's an incredible opportunity. And now our American athletes will have to jump on a plane and go spend a month in Europe to run fast, if it gets better. But again, absolute kudos to Paul. I think it's phenomenal thoughts, phenomenal idea, and I'm looking forward to watching it. And the fact that it's televised makes it even better.
Yeah. Well, I'm jumping in on you this time. I'm going to break all of our arms, patting all of ourselves on the back, because we have stood up on the table and yelled and screamed about the fact that a U.S. professional track circuit needed to happen. And I, too, am going to give my sitting applause to Mr. Doyle for, I don't even know if he was listening to us, but listening to somebody and then making it happen. Look, so often we talk about things that are really good ideas and we know they need to happen. And then we all say, yeah, but it's not going to happen. This is happening. And to Sir Lucious's point, if you are a pro track athlete, if you are a pro track coach of a pro track athlete, and you're not trying to get your athlete in that meet and to perform well at that meet, you are a fool and you don't get it. Because in order for this to continue, it has to happen, the lanes have to be full, and the performances have to be good and be TV worthy. Because then, if a TV rating of a certain level happens, then the contract won't be 1 year. It'll be a 10-year TV deal. And if you're paying attention at all this year, college football, where is the real money? In the TV revenue. Then there could be a U.S. circuit and you wouldn't have to go pro and then go to Europe. Because let's be clear, I'm still famous in Europe. I have never been famous in my own house in the United States. So this is a European sport, folks. It is. Because you know what? They show track on TV in Europe. And so
well, they show track meet reap all day and all night.
All the time.
Oh, it's awesome. This is track
all the time.
Yeah.
And so this is our opportunity to have the sport that we love on television and in this country. Jump on it. Attend. Do well. Don't complain. Oh, well, the money's only this. Oh, well, Paul wouldn't let me. I don't want to hear it. It is an opportunity.
Let it develop into something wonderful.
Oh, my Lord. Say it again 2 times for the people in the back. Show up and perform and let the look, don't be so short-sighted that you're complaining about money that ain't even there yet. Some of this money is coming out of Paul Doyle's pocket to make this happen. And this is what people need to understand. Like, this is how things happen.
I agree with all of that. And, props to Paul for getting in there and taking advantage of what I consider this to be an opportunity. Now, those of us involved, we all know Paul's been trying to get this ATL series off the ground outdoors for a few years now. And the meets have been going on. And I think they've gotten better and better over the years. But indoors is a more specific opportunity. And Chu, correct me if I'm wrong, ESPN is carrying these?
Yes.
Right. So the nerds know that over the past couple of years, ESPN has been showing random various indoor meets from different conferences, different invitationals. And depending on what kind of package you have, it's either easy or difficult to watch them. But they've been making an effort to put stuff on. Now this year with COVID going on and a bunch of things that would normally be happening, not happening, this right here is a legitimate, real opportunity to get good eyes on the sport. And it's not once and then never to be heard from again. It's a series. There's going to be a handful of these meets. And to Lamar's point, all the American pros and their agents and their coaches, I don't give a damn if you're ready to run or not, should be beating down the door to get on the track in some capacity, because we all understand that everybody's training to be ready for the Olympic trials, and we get that. But if you want the sport to be more successful, you need the names that people recognize in this competition week to week, so everybody can start to give a damn about watching it, right? Lucious may have some up-and-comers down there in Florida that are ready to roll and need an opportunity, and that's dope, and they should go run. But if the names aren't in the building, everybody's going to be like, who's that? I don't know who that is. We need the names in the building. And so I really hope that the word is out there. I really hope that people are beating Paul's phone up to try to get in the competition. And I hope every single week we get to see, big names and great performances and innovative ideas. I saw one of the announcements, they're doing a knockout round version of the 60. That's dope. Why is it dope? Because it's different, because it's interesting. Rather than watch one 60-meter race go off, I get to watch head-to-head battles one at a time. That's cool. It's at least interesting. You know, so I applaud Paul for stepping in that space and trying to fill that void. And I hope it carries on outdoors. I hope there's an ATL series in the Southeast or in Atlanta or wherever Paul needs to get that off. But there needs to be a West Coast version of something like that. There needs to be a Midwest, like these opportunities need to exist. So this is a great opportunity. And I hope everybody is supporting it in the way that they can. Obviously, you know, we can't go to the meet, COVID. But props to Arkansas for letting it happen in their building. Props to Paul for getting it done. And I hope everybody is, you know, paying attention and participating in it in any way that they can.
And to the fans out there, it's insanely important that you watch it when it comes on.
That's what I was
Right.
just going to
watch it, DVR it, something.
All of it. So we're looking at January 24th.
They track it.
Right. They do. It's January 24th, 31st, February 7th, and then February 14th. That's unfortunate. That's Super Bowl Sunday.
Wait, they have a track meet on Super Bowl Sunday.
That's what I just said. Yeah, like
The game's not gonna kick off till 9 o'clock, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
It's
they got one on Valentine's Day. Date night. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Date night.
That's
we
when
gonna
you know
watch some
you
track,
got a
baby.
real one.
Yeah. We're gonna watch some track, baby. Hey, you know who's gonna be watching?
Ooh.
Juan Hicks and the fam.
Oh, yeah. I was
That's
like,
what they do. Date night. We pop popcorn, watch the show. They gonna watch it.
I love it. That's a true story.
That's a true story. Hi, Sharice.
Hey, Cherise. Okay, anyways.
Shows off the rails.
Putting it back on. Let's go ahead and reflect on our NFL playoff predictions, huh? Does anybody have some outright words they need to get off their chest?
Go ahead, Clyde. This is your area of expertise, Clyde, so I want to hear this.
I'm good with it. Listen, there's 6 games played. I got 4 out of 6. I'm good. Now, there's some, because of who won and who didn't, there are some divisional matchups that need to be tweaked now, right? If it went exactly the way I wanted it to go, for example, Tampa Bay would be headed to Green Bay, Brady versus Rodgers. Now I get Brady versus Breeze 1 round earlier than I predicted it. So the games last week, most of them were phenomenal. And the ones that weren't necessarily close were hilarious. Shout out to Pittsburgh. Don't know what the hell was going on there. But yeah, so I'll take 4 out of 6. 4 out of 6 is better than all the pundits on ESPN and them are doing. So I'll roll with 4 out of 6 this weekend coming up. All my big picture is still very much intact. I will be taking Brady and the crew. You're not beating Brady 3 times in the same year. Not going to happen. Get ready, New Orleans. It's coming. So Brady takes out New Orleans. I'm taking the Rams to upset Aaron Rodgers. I don't believe in nobody on that team except Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. They don't have enough. I'm taking the Rams.
And y'all say I'm disrespectful.
I'm taking the Rams and the broken thumb. I'm doing it. And then, of course, I got the Bills and the Chiefs. You know?
Say the Bills are going to win. Say it on camera just so I can hear you say that nonsense.
The Bills are going to beat the Ravens. The Bills are going to beat the Ravens. And the Chiefs are going to beat the Browns. But I am rooting. Those are my predictions. But I'm rooting for the Ravens to upset. I mean, for the Browns to upset the Chiefs because that would be hilarious. Oh my God, that would be funny.
So first off, I personally, amongst the rest of the nation, we are going to apologize to Sir Lucious for disrespecting his Browns. Kudos. They decided to show up for a football game that Pittsburgh clearly had money on and had no desire to play. But at the end of the day,
you just disrespected them again.
He did.
I'm disrespecting the Steelers. Because here's the thing: we won't even know if the Browns are better than the Steelers because the Steelers just flat out didn't show up. The Browns.
So now we're back on this. We don't know who the best team in Ohio thing is.
No, I didn't say all that. I gave you the props. I'm not giving you half props. The Browns kicked a hole in the face of the Steelers and all of their fans, and that sorry excuse of a wide receiver who I used to like, who had the nerve to say, yeah, it was a bad loss, but the Browns are going to get clapped next week. Like, what sort of Canadian nonsense is that you came up with, Mr. Claiborne? He said Claypool. That. Like, Claypool. You know what? Even Ryan Clark, the ridiculous Pittsburgh homer, even Ryan Clark came at him like, bruh, shut your mouth. You got clapped. Say nothing. So at the end of the day, when you're losing 28-0 to a team that you're a double-digit favorite over, yeah, stop talking. So first off, congratulations, Sir Lucious, to the Browns.
Thank you.
Secondly, look, beyond all that complete fuckery that was just said, I still believe that the baddest man in the building is going to win in the snow in Green Bay. I do believe that this Ravens Bills game is going to be, I don't know. Part of me wants to use the word epic, even though I know that's like so overused. Like, I think that game has a chance to be ridiculous.
It's by far the best game of the weekend.
It's supposed to snow, and you got two of the biggest and baddest running quarterbacks in the NFL who are going to make defenses look stupid all Sunday. So that is going to be fun to watch. I wish the Browns the best of luck. I do believe that the Chiefs will actually show up and play football this weekend. And so Cinderella may actually have a crack in the slipper, and that may end. But at the end of the day, the Browns are playing with house money, so it's all good. They're going home happy. Yeah, in the NFC, I know that my man doesn't want to hear this, but Tampa Bay and the folks, like, look, the crazy dude with the bull nose ring is a really, really good running back. The quarterback that only has like 85% left of arm strength is still good enough to beat them indoors because they actually have a really good defense. And as crazy as this sounds, I do believe that Tom and the boys are going to lose to the same team for the third time in the same year, which does sound crazy. I will admit that does sound crazy, but I think it's going to happen. So that's my play for this week. I do for sure believe that the Packers are going to win. I'm so looking forward to the matchup of Jalen Ramsey and Devontae, because I think Jalen Ramsey is about to get exposed. He's really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's bad, but there ain't nobody better at running routes, especially in cold weather and in snow and all those other wonderful things. There just isn't a guy better than that. And right before he goes to host Jeopardy, I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to handle that business this weekend. And that's my takes for the NFL this week.
Wow, those hard to follow, guys. But I mean, first of all, thank you for respecting and then disrespecting my Browns. I appreciate that.
I did not disrespect them.
Yeah, you did. It's pretty much. So,
I just think the Steelers they didn't even put up a fight.
Well, they did. It just wasn't a good one. So, I'm gonna address this nonsense about. So it's clearly I'm trying to figure out like why Clyde won't take his medication before we start the show, because clearly every week when we get to the Aaron Rodgers segment,
he's been drinking.
Exactly. I don't know what's going on here. So while I do think it's going to be an interesting game because the Rams do have some talent, especially on the defensive line. I think it's that time. I think we've forgotten that, it's been a while, but Aaron Rodgers is playing like that guy that won the Super Bowl. That's why I think that it's a problem. So I'm going with Green Bay over the Rams, and Rams coming to cold weather can't be a great thing for them. It just can't. You being from the Bay, you should understand that, right? Okay. The New Orleans Tampa Bay game, while I find it to be interesting, the caveat for me is I still think New Orleans is going to win, but it's not going to be a blowout. Tampa Bay has been playing extremely well lately. I give them credit for that. But let's see who raises their game to the highest level. I'll stick it to my guns. I'm going with New Orleans. And, Tom Brady's a bad man. Not taking anything away from that dude. He's a bad man. But New Orleans at home, great defense. I'm going to go with them. On the other end of the coin, the Baltimore Bills game could just be, like you guys said, epic. And I think that it might be one of those that comes down to a field goal. It might be one of those things where they're plowing the snow out of the way, like back in the old days. So, but I'm gonna go with the Ravens in an upset. And the Chiefs Browns game, while I'm going to be rooting like crazy for the Browns, and I'm going to go on the record as saying right now it's going to be a much better game than people think it's going to be. Yeah, I'm going to go on record for saying that right now, because even though Pittsburgh supposedly didn't show up, the Browns had something to do with it, some of that stuff, right? Yeah, they had to cause some of that chaos. So the big thing with the Browns will be how they recover from that victory. Do they leave that in Pittsburgh and move forward and get ready for the Chiefs, or are they still talking about what they did in Pittsburgh? Now, that Browns team that played at that intensity, that level of execution shows up in Kansas City, yeah, don't be surprised. But I'm gonna give Chiefs the win, but the Browns are gonna make this very, very interesting. And I'm probably not gonna have a voice when it's done. So those are my
okay. All right. Since I keep getting accused of not taking my meds and all of that, listen, let me answer the inquiries. Okay. The Aaron Rodgers issue. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP, decidedly so. One of my least favorite things that you hear in sports commentary are these stupid, irrelevant stats like Team X has never lost the game when trailing by whatever, but the teams they're talking about weren't even a part of the people who are playing right now, right? That kind of stuff is irrelevant. The whole mystique of Lambeau has never served or been important in the Aaron Rodgers era, so I don't care about it. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been awesome at Lambeau in the playoffs, so I don't care about it. These are just facts of reality. The Rams have a significantly better defense, and last I checked, in the NFL, for decades and decades, defense travels. That's what I've been told. That's what I've been watching forever. Defense travels. The best defense in that game is on the Rams side. Now, the Rams' problem is they got a quarterback problem. Goff wasn't playing awesome before, and now his thumb is broke, and the backup started and got knocked out the game. They definitely have a quarterback issue, but if the defense shuts down Aaron Rodgers and them, the Rams can score enough points to win that game. Their running game is good. Hold on. Well, go ahead.
If.
That's what has to happen. The Rams have the best defense left in the playoffs. The Rams have the best defense in the playoffs. The Packers do not have the best offense. It's very good, but it ain't the best. I'm making the defense.
Is the best in Tampa Bay? Is what you're saying?
No. The Chiefs have had the best offense. I mean,
but the Chiefs are they're on the other side of it.
But we're talking about
the Packers. Right, the Packers have the best offense left in the NFC, though.
Yes.
Maybe.
Let it go.
Maybe. So, but that's why I'm picking that thing. Now, as it pertains to the Tampa Bay game, Tampa Bay's problem on defense is their secondary is trash. Drew Brees can't throw the ball down the field, so I don't imagine that's going to be a very big deal. They got to shut down Kamara. They'll score more than enough points to beat the Saints.
We'll see.
And now if Drew Brees gets some shots in the arm, all of a sudden he can chuck the ball down the field. Well, then, who knows? But the Saints don't even have deep threats like that. So I'm not worried about that. You're not beating Tom Brady 3 times in the same year. You're just not doing it. So
is that one of those facts that are irrelevant? That you're not beating?
Which one?
Those stats that people throw out there. You're not beating this guy.
No. That's not a stat. It's not a stat at all.
Oh, okay.
Beating any team 3 times in the same year almost never happens.
So that's one of those irrelevant stats.
Right.
About that.
That's NFL lore. I'm talking about Tom Brady.
That is one of those
Tom
irrelevant.
Brady, Tom Brady has never lost to a team 3 times in the same year.
Irrelevant stat.
Tom Brady's playing in the game
until this year. Because that's happening.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Tom Brady's playing in the game. So it ain't about Tampa. It's about Tom Brady. You're not beating Tom Brady 3 times in the same year. I don't see it. I will gladly come eat crow if I'm wrong.
Of course you don't. Because that's your guy.
It is my guy. The GOAT. The best to ever do it. That is my guy. Absolutely. Bay Area. Tom Brady. 100%.
I want to add a little factoid, little football nugget for all of our fans out there, because this one blew my mind when I found this out today. The 4A high school player of the year in Georgia, Sean McVay's senior year, was Sean McVay over Megatron.
That's hilarious.
How about
that is hilarious.
How about them apples?
Now, to the Buffalo
want to see that
issue.
film. I want to see that film.
To the Buffalo issue.
Will you stop? You made your predictions. I don't want to hear all this.
Y'all attacked me on this. Y'all said
nobody. Hold on a second. I didn't attack you. Look, just like everybody else, we made a simple comment. We don't have to go back over all this stuff. We heard you. You made your
y'all
predictions.
said I was crazy.
Yeah. Okay. No, we didn't say you're crazy. You say take your medication. You never take your medication.
Only for your disrespect of Aaron Rodgers. I'm good with the rest of it.
Exactly.
Wait, are you picking the Bills?
Cool.
I just need to know this. So you got the Bills?
See, I have no problem with you believing that the Rams can beat Green Bay, but it's just your blatant disrespect to Rodgers. Like, you don't think the guy's that? Yeah, he's all right.
No, but you
borderline calling my man trash, though. You are calling him trash.
No, I did not. Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 all-time QB. He is the MVP, rightfully so. He has never been a difference maker in the playoffs. They were 13-3 last year.
Never in his career.
Bro, he was 13-3 last year.
Never in his career is the question.
Clearly, he has been a difference maker at some point in time in his career.
Not in Lambeau.
And to his point, when they won the Super Bowl, they were
big league.
They were
go ahead. Tell him, Lamar.
They were the 6th seed, and they won 3 road games. I get what he's saying.
Thank you.
All I'm saying is
damn
all that. Aaron Rodgers is winning this weekend. But I just need to know this. You got the Bills. Am I correct, Clyde?
I got the Bills because Lamar Jackson has no one to throw to.
I just asked you. So you got the Bills. You got Lamar Jackson and the Jacksonettes? Okay. I didn't pick a team. I just said the game's going to be epic. I'm going to pick Lamar Jackson and the Jacksonettes as well. There. Now we got something.
Because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is phenomenal.
I understand all you're saying. I think that they're gonna in the snow they're gonna rush the ball for 500 yards and win the game. So it's gonna be fun though. I think the game's gonna be crazy. Oh, for sure. I think both teams are gonna have to rush the ball.
Well, just so you know, our fans are holding us accountable. Well, you all accountable because they are commenting as to what's happening after our predictions. So
good.
Very interesting.
Remind us who were the Super Bowl predictions for everybody?
I picked the Chiefs.
But I mean, who was the game? You picked the Chiefs and who?
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Okay. And you had Green Bay and who, Lucious?
Chiefs.
Green Bay and the Chiefs.
So y'all both had Green Bay and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you originally picked Seattle, which you stepped off
That's
of.
way.
I said I don't remember.
He said originally.
I said
no,
originally.
I'm talking about last week when we did the playoff predictions.
Right. So who do you have? I don't remember now.
I got the Bills and the Bucks.
Yeah, I was
Bills and the Bucks.
With the Bucks winning.
So there's actually a chance that you're done this week.
There's a chance y'all done this week too. Like what you mean? All the teams are playing. What are you talking about?
I mean, that's fair.
Oh my God!
It sounded good though.
Real good.
All right. Well, now let's talk about a real championship result that we were able to witness, horrendously witness, but witness. Let's talk about the college football championship game.
Bruh.
Can I just go? Because let me tell you, I had no interest in it. I didn't witness it. I saw the highlights. Mr. Smith was amazing. I didn't care. They got blown out. Whoop-de-doo. Didn't see it at all.
I mean, here's my take from the game in a nutshell. If Mr. Smith doesn't get hurt, he probably has 400 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns in that game. He is still the second best wide receiver on his team. And when that boy gets completely healthy, he's going to be a problem. Waddle, that's his name?
Yeah, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. He was faster than everybody on the field with one leg. That was ridiculous. I forgot how good he is. Crazy part is, like, everybody's forgotten about homeboy from LSU who got opted out this year. He's a problem too. And then Ohio State was really good. Like, they showed up with all intents on winning the game. And they unfortunately, and look, I know I live in Big Ten country and I'm probably going to take crap for this. I don't care. The issue you have with Big Ten teams when they play SEC or ACC teams is they can match up. The elite ones can match up 1 versus 1, right? They don't match up well 2 versus 2. And then it's Katie bar the door after that. 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4. Like, however long the game goes, it's going to get worse for sure, right? And when you're talking about speed positions and skill positions, like, I'm just not sure that you will get enough of them in the right places at this point to show up and win. I hope it happens because I'm a fan of parity, right? Like, I would love to see a team from the West win. I would love to see a team from the Big Ten win. Like, I would love to see it sprinkled about. But every time we get to these national championship games, it comes around the same. Like, look, man, they made Smith look like Bolt on the football field. Like, I'm like, bro, he's not that fast. He's fast, but he's not that fast.
Can I ask 2 questions to both of you? Because I didn't watch the game. Did they even attempt to double team the boy? Because on the highlights, it didn't look like they tried to double team the boy at all.
Defense holes in an open zone, and he just carved him up like, poof, poof, oh, I'm open,
right?
And then he's running full speed, which is a problem.
So to that point, that sounds like really bad strategy to me. It makes sense to me that you be like, hey man, look, we're gonna take 2 dudes. You're gonna follow this boy around the field, and if we lose a game some other way, what you just said is true. If you're talking about Alabama, don't say the SEC, because I didn't say the SEC ain't like you did. You said when the best of the Big Ten plays the SEC, it's Bama. It's Bama.
The SEC or the ACC.
Okay, so now, hold on a second. Can we not do that?
It was LSU last year.
Okay, exactly. It was LSU last year. It was Florida before. It was Auburn before. See, let's not act as if, Alabama's phenomenal. Okay?
Yes.
And I give Alabama that. But we got to stop. You got to stop with this rhetoric that is just Alabama that's good in football in the SEC. Because if you look at the history
of college football, Alabama that's elite.
Elite. If you look at the history of the college football playoffs, the SEC has dominated, and it hasn't just been Alabama. Yeah? All right. So anyway, I'm not doing that because again, you're showing once again you didn't take your medication. But anyway, so all I'm going to say is this: is that Ohio State's chances to win the football game ended when Mr. Smith came out of the locker room healthy. Okay, I will agree that the defensive game plan was not very good.
Was atrocious.
But the thing that
I'm not sure they had an option. I'm not sure they had an option.
Exactly. And the thing is
they can't play bump and run.
It's easy for us to sit here and say what we would have done. But we're not in the film room. We don't know what they see, and we know what their skill sets are. So those coaches put those players in positions because they actually thought that was the only way that it would work.
They had 4 defensive starters out with COVID.
And the other caveat to that is the 4 starters out with the COVID. And the biggest thing is that clearly they thought that was the only way to play them because they never made a change. They played the same defense the whole game. So clearly they didn't think there was something else they could go to. I'm sure they would have. So kudos to Nick Saban. My man Steve Sarkisian was a genius throughout the whole playoffs and basically throughout the season. I mean, some of the things he did with Smith, the way he hit him in the backfield and snuck him out. I mean, it was almost as if he knew exactly what defense Ohio State was going to be in every play. It was retarded.
So you said they didn't change it all game.
Well, but so you didn't watch the game. They ran a play. You played wide receiver, so you'll get this. They ran a play where Smith started out wide, right, and ran full speed at the quarterback. The ball was snapped, and then he ran full speed back out.
Film. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that was basically like, you know what? Well, we'll figure out whether they're in zone or man. They got one guy guarding this guy. Okay, that sounds good. No way he's fast enough to defense him. So we'll just isolate. And they ran that play 3 times, twice one way, once the other. And I think they scored twice and they got a big gain on the other one. So it's like at the end of the day, we're better at this than y'all.
Yeah, the other thing too is like, the final score was not good, but Ohio State did put up a fight for about a quarter. They did.
Yeah, for sure. It was a legit game.
Ohio State is a really good football team. They just got beat by an incredibly good football team.
Are we all in agreement that Nick Saban is undisputedly the GOAT of college football coaching?
Well, I didn't know there was a dispute on that before.
Oh, there's been a dispute.
There was this talk that like because he was tied with Bear Bryant, and I keep saying, but 4 of Bear Bryant's championships happened before they let black people play at all the schools.
Hey,
like
listen,
like this isn't a thing.
So the reason I throw that out there is because you do what Nick Saban would have done in that situation. You do what the other GOAT, Belichick, would have done in that situation. Hell or high water, that dude is not going to beat us. Take him away, and then we'll see what happens.
The caveat to that is you can't take somebody away if you don't have the tools to do so.
Yeah, I think the 4 defensive players being out, that's what I was talking about the 2s and the 3s, right? Look, if Alabama loses 4 starters on offense, we might not know it. Because their next guys.
Hold on a second. They lost what people swear that Waddle is better than Smith.
Waddle is better than
Smith.
Smith.
Been the word for years.
Right. So if Waddle is better than Smith, the man went out and nobody knew. His second best guy is the Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
Yeah.
So therein lies the problem. Is that like I think if you're down 4 defensive starters and you're Ohio State, you're like, look, the 4 dudes replacing them are not guys we can play in space and have them go like they're not good enough, nor do they know enough yet.
So my last commentary on this whole college football season is this: forever, for years, what's the narrative? The SEC is so difficult, blah blah blah. COVID forced the SEC to only play each other. Alabama still goes undefeated. A&M only lost 1 game. So again, there's no evidence to suggest that the league is so difficult.
Okay, so then what is the evidence that any of the other leagues are so difficult?
But I've never said they were, sir.
Son.
What I've said is they're no different than anybody else.
Okay. Here is your evidence.
Average in the middle.
Here is your evidence.
At the bottom.
The SEC will continue to curb stop the rest of the country in the discussion.
As long as the rules are set up this way to benefit them, you're absolutely right.
You will be old and gray, spitting the same nonsense.
I'm already gray, baby. I'm already gray.
Let's not say the rest of the country because Clemson is still in the rest of the country. But I will say this. This is the thing you can't argue about, Mr. Clyde, because I said when they play the SEC or the ACC, those are the words I use, right? So in the last 10 years, there's been 1 non-SEC or ACC football champion, Ohio State. Once. Florida State, Clemson's won twice, and Alabama's won all but one of the others, and then LSU won once.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, the top end of the SEC and the top end of the ACC at this point, especially in the way that recruiting goes, it's a tough thing to beat. Now, look, they'll figure it out. Look, listen, if I know this much about the folks at Ohio State and the folks at SC and the folks at and all the other traditional football powerhouses is they're going to figure it out.
Well, don't say SC. SC ain't figured nothing out since Pete Carroll left. The only thing they need is to get Pete Carroll back.
The funny thing is, didn't nobody know who the hell Pete Carroll was till he got there. I'm just telling you, SC is one of those places that if you get the right person to get people, like get 4 people rowing in the same direction, SC can go from trash to tragic real fast. So I never ever count SC out because they did it. And at the end of the day, and they did it without cheating and all the other stuff. Yeah, I know. If I was an SC alum, I'd be waiting too. Like, trust me, I get it. I know you're not. I'm just saying, like, it would be frustrating because it's like, look, if we can be this good, if we can be the one school that everybody wants to go to on the West Coast, why are we not that every year? Like, why isn't SC Alabama? I would ask that question.
SC football right now is kind of like Texas football. Like, they think they're supposed to be something, but they not. And they ain't been for a while.
That's part of being a blue blood. Michigan's in that same category. Notre Dame's in that same category.
Sure.
Right? Like the blue bloods, they used to stomp everybody.
Everybody get mad at Notre Dame. Everybody gets mad at Notre Dame. Look, Notre Dame's doing well. They in the dance. They can't win it, but they in it. Man. Like, what else do you want? Like, what
it would
else
be
you want
one thing if they got to the dance and they were competitive, but they haven't gotten to the dance and lost by less than 17 points yet.
Well,
like they get there and they get truly, they get truly exposed for who they don't play.
Hey,
but shout out to my man Marcus Freeman, the new defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. They will be better.
All right.
Well, let's get a little more heated, if that's possible, and talk about college football rivalries.
Football rivalries.
Football rivalries. So we got it. Okay.
Yeah. Narrow.
I'm about to say that because that's different.
All right, so I'll go out on a limb, and I because I'm assuming we're going to go and circle back. I'll say this: I think the number one football rivalry in all of college football, for breadth and all of that nonsense and length, is probably Michigan and Ohio State. I think that the next biggest rivalry, and that's because I've been directly involved in the craziness that is involved, and including that they don't have school on the day before the game, is Texas and Oklahoma. And I think number 3, and that's probably a close one, is Alabama and Auburn and that crazy nonsense that goes on in that state. I think all of us sit back and watch. Was it the Egg Bowl? That's what they fight for?
Iron Bowl.
Right.
Iron Bowl.
Egg Bowl is Mississippi and Mississippi State.
Okay, my bad. The Iron Bowl is one of those deals I think we all sit back and watch that nonsense and go, the one who has the most teeth left wins, right? Like,
no.
So I'm on.
Those are my top 3. Those are my top 3, and we'll circle around.
My number 1 by far is Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, I grew up in the middle of that, and I mean, it's to the point where like we refer to them as the smell up north. I'm sure they have some very catchy things they talk about us. I've lived the Florida State deal, right? And that's just, it just gets nasty, especially when we're both good. We both haven't been good for a while, but when we're both good, but if you live down here, if Florida and Florida State were playing tiddlywinks, it's a war, right? That's just the way it works.
For sure.
Growing up, and these things don't exist anymore, but Oklahoma and Nebraska,
yeah.
USC, UCLA, USC, Notre Dame, those things have gone away. But the other one that just has been, and I love the Iron Bowl, not the Egg Bowl, but the Iron Bowl. But the other rivalry for me that's just been tremendous has been Florida State and Miami. That one is that one's hard to beat as well. So those are my top ones right there. Just watching some of those games has been phenomenal.
Okay, so interestingly enough, we all agree that the greatest college football rivalry is Ohio State and Michigan. Like, it's
relevant every year.
Even when one of the teams isn't good, it's relevant every year. The games are usually competitive. Like, it's a different thing. And if you ever have an opportunity to go to it at either location, you should do that.
Yes.
Have
any other rivalries ever had 2 coaches fight?
Right. The Maga Bowl. The Iron Bowl The
MAGA
Alabama
Bowl.
and Auburn. Having lived in Montgomery, Alabama for a few years, dead smack in the middle of those places, it's just an odd, crazy thing. I mean, you got people poisoning trees and stuff over all of that and calling. Oh, you don't know that story too. You got to see the documentary.
Oh yeah, there's a documentary on that. Yeah, it's a 30 for 30 on that. It's crazy.
Yeah, yes. And Michigan and Ohio State have two documentaries on that. So those are the top two for me. Now, me being a West Coast kid, the one that I'm most familiar with is obviously USC and UCLA. And if you're out there, it's a thing. And for so long, there was no pro football in LA, and that was the dominant thing. It's lost some luster over the past couple of years because the teams have been so bad. But even though the teams are bad, that's still like blood rivalry, bloodthirsty, crazy weekend. You wouldn't even imagine the stuff that goes on in and around those campuses during that weekend. Now, for me, the best unnatural rivalry that used to exist, Sir Lucious talked about things that have gone away. The most epic one to me of all time was Miami, Notre Dame, when they were both real. That, the convicts versus Catholics and all of that.
Convicts versus Catholics.
That thing right there.
But that wasn't really a rivalry because it only lasted for like 2 or 3 years.
It was a 3-4 year deal, and it was as intense as anything has ever been.
Yeah.
And that is my favorite unnatural rivalry of all time. And just to throw out some other really weird, you have to be there to understand it. The Apple Cup, Washington State.
Oh, for sure.
Is uncool. That's a whole issue up there. And that's just one of the things. If you're ever in the Pacific Northwest and you get a chance to experience that, it's worth the trip. I'll say that.
Oh, I agree with Clyde completely about, look, my alma mater is involved in the battle for the axe between Cal and Stanford. And I will tell you, look, if you're not around there, you wouldn't get that. And you're like, those two teams don't really play football. All I'm telling you is this. If you go to the game, you will never think that again. And you're like, I didn't know so many bougie people with big brains could be such a-hole. Like, I've seen craziness at this game. And I'm like, all of y'all are going to make millions of dollars, like, being students at some point. Like, why are we, but what's the one that Florida's involved in? The world's biggest
Florida, Georgia.
Florida, Georgia. What's it called? World's biggest cocktail party? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was a game I wanted to go to. Like, I'm not even sure about this whole rivalry thing, but I just always thought that'd probably be a game that would be fun.
I'm very remiss in not mentioning that one because trust me, I've been in the middle of that mess. And it's one of those things where if you lose, it's best to get out of the stadium as soon as you can, because the losing team, you're going to take verbal abuse all the way to your car.
Well, on that side, then it needs to be said. South Carolina and Clemson. And Lamar, you lived in that for a while, and that is the alma mater. That is you might want to come prepared for that.
Like Florida, Georgia it can be nasty, but it's not. Florida State's a different deal. But Florida, Georgia can be pretty spicy. They can.
See, the problem with the whole South Carolina Clemson thing is the campuses are close enough that we're like, after the game's over, it could still be an issue. Like, people travel to make it still be an issue.
And I've always wondered to myself, why does anybody go on the road to those games? Like, that is such a bad idea. Like, the Clemson and South Carolina games, that is a terrible idea to go to the other team's stadium, because that goes bad whether your team wins or loses.
This is
like,
true.
that's just not good. Like, at least isn't Florida, Georgia played in Jacksonville? Like, it's not played on campus, right? Yeah, see, that makes sense.
It's played the Jaguars.
If you play that game in Gainesville, that's a problem getting out of there if you're a Georgia fan.
Well, our fans aren't that bad. We're good. As long as you don't come in here acting crazy, we're good.
Right. So you're talking about Georgia fans. So like I said, that's a problem for them.
I just
The
read
Florida
the
fans
backstory
would
on it.
never cause a problem. I mean, what are you talking about?
I saw when I lived in Georgia, I saw a T-shirt at the Great Mall of Georgia that said Athens. I'm sure they have this in a bunch of places, but Athens is a drinking town with a football problem. I was like, yes, it is.
And wait a minute, we have to throw one more out there because we're gonna get messages if we don't. It may be the most important one. Army Navy.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cute.
Army Navy.
But
we was gonna get messages.
but it's a rivalry and it's a good one. It's
and you know what? Harvard
intense.
Yale is a big deal too.
Yeah, there's a lot of those like to me, and obviously they don't get the shine that the other ones get, but those are real rivalries. That's not disrespect them, sir. I mean, Mr. Lamar, track is season.
My favorite one of those rivalries that I randomly watch every year is that the Paul Bunyan? So what is that? Minnesota and Wisconsin? They play for Paul Bunyan's Axe, I think it is.
Minnesota and Iowa, maybe. I don't know who it is, but
you worked in the Big Ten. You should know what the Axe game is.
I think Minnesota and Wisconsin play for Paul Bunyan's Axe. I just remember there was a dude like Minnesota won, and dude was running around with this purple and gold axe on his shoulder.
Got the right color.
No, I remember.
It's Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Yeah, you got the right colors.
Yeah.
And then because you're right, Minnesota and Iowa play for something else. They play for another stupid thing.
Well, there's a whole bunch of games that got little weird trophies and stuff. Everybody got that.
Yeah.
I do want to know why the Battle of Mississippi is over an egg.
You probably don't want to know that.
No, I do. I want someone write in and tell Big League why the Egg Bowl is the Egg Bowl.
You know she's looking it up right now, right? You know?
I am.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right.
I just wish there were more dope rivalries in track. Like all the dope rivalries in track are out west. They're out west because they're the only ones that had dual meets that have lasted forever. Like, look, the big meet and I think the UCLA USC meet is called the meet, right? Those two meets they're ridiculous,
and they still go on. And we've talked about that. I mean, I think that if maybe COVID will rekindle some of that stuff, you know. Maybe. I mean,
because the Florida State track meet would be phenomenal.
Yeah, it would. That
would be really good regional TV.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of good ones. I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, in a dual meet was always, good. So I watched a couple of those growing up. But I think that I'm just hoping that maybe, as we talked about a couple of shows ago, that getting back to having smaller meets will rekindle some of the dual meet stuff. Because I think dual meets can be phenomenal if you get two teams just come in and go at each other. It could be unbelievable. Okay.
Yeah. The Pac-12 basically has. I mean, I don't think they plan it this way, but it's basically dual meet weekend because everybody knows USC and UCLA is running, and now Cal and Stanford are returning to that same early May weekend. But Washington State does that weekend. Like there's a bunch of
Arizona State.
Arizona State, like that. It's all like one same weekend. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it's called the Golden Egg Game because the people, whoever is commissioned to it back in the day, they said that there'd be a trophy that was exchanged to the winner or handed to the winner to avoid the brawl. That was the brawls that were happening. And so the golden egg was the football, a gold-plated football.
There you have it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not
just he has spoken.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's not a great story, but
nope. Paul Bunyan's axe is much better.
All right. Well, let's spice up the screen here. And Sir Lucious, your seat's hot, sir.
Sir Lucious.
Hot.
I think there's official hand movement that goes with that. You say Sir Lucious.
I know, right? You've got my convention pen, and it's now being knighted.
Watch. I just can't wait to be at a track meet this year where somebody just walks up to you and goes, "Hello, sir."
Mm-hmm.
Someone will. All right. Deep breath. Woosah. Bowling alley French fries, yes or no?
Depends on the bowling alley. If it's Gators, yes. Splits, not so much.
Now I'm gonna have to try the two to see the difference.
Yes.
Best Keith Sweat song.
Oh, let's get it. Let's see this.
I don't know.
Boo.
Okay.
Go outside.
Well,
Stop.
stop that. Stop
Oh my
that.
God.
So clearly
that.
that was it, and it's not anymore. Just ruined.
Yeah, that
I really don't know. I don't. Let me be honest with you.
Oh man,
Okay,
that's
so I'll throw out a
playlist.
couple. Make It Last Forever. I'll give all my love to you. Make You Sweat. Twisted. Get Up on It. Nobody.
Make It Last Forever.
That's what I would want to do too.
An appropriate choice.
That's a good one.
Brady Bunch or Cosby Show?
Cosby. I mean, the Brady's were cool. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't as funny as the Cosbys. You know, because I did watch the Brady's, but Cosby's
Got it. Which one are you taking? Talent or heart?
Heart.
Which legs goes in the pants first? Which leg goes in the pants first?
It depends on which one of my shoulders is closest to the wall.
What in the name of Beelzebub just happened?
You asked the question.
I love it. That was awesome.
Because I'm not a
Oh my
guy.
gosh.
I don't sit down and put my pants on. I stand up. And I'm also, cognitively, I just lean up against something and I put the other leg in there. And
Free leg.
Okay,
Yeah,
first of all, the fact
That's-
that this man alternates which leg goes in first makes him a psychopath. Secondly, the fact that he just said out loud, I don't sit down and put my pants on, like that's a normal statement. What?
I don't.
Oh, this is tremendous.
I got
This
you.
is the greatest.
I don't sit down
This is
either.
awesome.
So
I just want to-
these are things like I thought everybody stood up and put their pants on.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a routine. I just put my pants on. Sometimes I'm sitting, sometimes I'm standing. But what is not a thing is like, yo, where's that wall at?
But if there's not a wall, I can, I'm good. But
Man.
I'm just fortunate that my closet's big enough that I can stand up and put my pants on. So I'm good.
Your answer is the equivalent of which leg do you go over the hurdle with, Grant?
Oh,
Whichever one comes up. What?
Big leagues. Can we get this?
Okay.
This is actually-
Last item that you purchased.
Ooh. What was the last thing I purchased?
Giving him a chance to flex on folks.
Right?
No.
I don't know. Was it MJ's PS5 or was it Angela's new Mercedes? Can't remember.
Oh wow! The last thing I purchased that was unfair was I bought MJ an iPad Air. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Still in the mall.
That's fair. He's a college student. He should have.
Absolutely.
that type
You're
of
being a
insurance.
good father, Sir Lucius.
I try so hard.
Are you going to Target or Walmart? Walmart. Wow.
Actually, I'd probably go to Target because it's closer to Best Buy.
And then here's the question of the night. Better than the pants one. Have you tried a Popeye's chicken sandwich?
Oh, absolutely. It was one of those things. Like it was a family deal. It's like we're just chilling on like a Saturday. MJ's like, Dad, we're going to get a Popeye's chicken sandwich. I'm like, okay, fine. So when I get there and it's like this line around the corner, I'm like, wait, this can't be that good.
But it
And
is.
then but it's phenomenal.
I was like, but it is.
See, like that's like I do a bowl in these tournaments down in Ocala. And the most exciting part of the tournament is the fact I can stop by Popeyes on the way back and they're not that crowded down there.
So I'm the only one on the panel that has not had this thing.
Shame on you.
What in
Shit.
the name of
No.
Beelzebub is going on the show tonight?
No,
This
listen,
dude
it's very
puts his
simple.
pants on randomly, and you haven't had a Popeye's chicken sandwich.
It's very simple. And Lamar, I think you will be with me on this point. Maybe not. When that whole thing started, it disgusted me for many, many levels of, I wasn't gonna participate. I just wasn't.
Oh, it's
And then
beyond that now. You
I
gotta
feel
participate
that.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna just put it to you like this:
down.
if you and I are in the same place sometime this year, and there's a Popeyes, you're getting chicken sandwich.
Oh, for sure.
If I had to go
I'll
bring it
second
to
that.
your hotel, you're eating this chicken sandwich.
You'll
I
get a
got
second
no
one.
issue.
And I promise you,
will
and you will go buy
make
another
my
one
way
after I
there
get to this
at
first
point.
one.
But yeah, no, it was full on protest. I was like, I will not. I refuse.
Right.
Principles. There's principalities.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
You
you
play
have
with my money,
survived,
Smokey.
sir. I know, right?
Now that everybody
Yes.
knows that how I put my pants on. Yeah.
I know. I had to make it good.
Oh, his was the best one. That was the best one so far. Well, no, the one where we surprised. Well, the one where Sir Lucious surprised
Chew
you.
on the hot seat.
Your chew on the hot seat was the best.
I'm sure every night you're like, is he gonna get me again?
So it's so funny. I haven't watched the episode because I'm scared to see what I actually looked like reacting.
Oh no, it was.
Oh,
it
you
was,
have to watch that.
you have to watch it. It was good.
Yeah, it's
I'll go
definitely
back.
worthwhile.
It was.
I'll go back. Well, thank you for playing. So we will go back to our regularly scheduled program with heartbeat props. We've been not off. We've designated this time for certain things to be gratuitous or gracious for and whatnot, but we will come back to our heartbeat props now. So is there anybody who's jumping out of their seat to give a prop?
I'm not jumping out of my seat, but since my seat's hot, I'll go ahead and go first. I'm going to give my heartbeat props to the Cleveland Brown football fans. I mean, the folks that have hung in there, for decades, and never, went out there and braved the cold and braved the many quarterbacks and the many head coaches and all the mistakes. And I mean, kudos to the people that are true Brown fans that never gave up on them and will not give up on them this weekend. We're going to be cheering loud and proud. Go Browns.
Fair enough. Would you like to go, Mr. Clyde, or would you like me to go?
I'm still figuring out which one I'm going to go with. So you go ahead, sir.
He's going to read the room.
All right. Fair enough. Mine kind of comes from left field. I'm going to give my heartbeat props to a group of young ladies who I have no idea whether they watch the show or not. I know their coach does. And these young ladies, they have had their indoor facility taken from them. They've had their alternate indoor facility taken from them, and they have been told, figure it out. And so both them and their coaches have decided that, you know what, we will figure it out. And it's above 32 degrees, so we're going to go outside and get better. So my heartbeat props they go out to the young ladies on the IUPUI track and field team, because every single week something gets taken away from them, and every single week them and their coach figure it out. They compete all the field events, and they don't have a field event venue to compete at. To practice at. Not one.
So since you went that direction, I'll go. That decided my mind. So there you go.
You're welcome.
We talked about the ATL and the things that Paul Doyle has going on. I think it's safe to say, it's mid-January, or it's approaching mid-January. Track is officially in full swing at every level. The professionals and the people connected to that world have figured out a path to get some things done. The NCAA has, and not the institution, the NCAA coaches and universities and facilities have figured out a way to get this thing moving in the right direction. And across the country, the high school scene is getting off the ground as best they can. Meets in Alabama, meets in Virginia, meets all over the place. And so for me, seeing the sport that I love, that is my profession, that I put in, the work into every day, to see everybody figuring out a way to get to yes and getting this thing off the ground and by all current accounts, doing it in a very responsible way. You know, you haven't heard of any track and field super spreader events indoors yet, right? So, you know, for everybody that is doing that work and doing that thing well and giving everybody at every level proper opportunities to get this thing done, it's the best possible result that we could have right now with the COVID situation still getting worse. So I appreciate everybody that is involved in all of those things. And, you know, I'm excited to see my crew get a chance to step out there and do something coming up next week. So props to everybody that's making indoor possible right now. I appreciate it, and let's keep it going in the right direction.
I will wrap up with a Bay Area name. Coaches of current in the last, I think, 20 to 30 years are familiar with Peter Brewer. This man has been a staple of high school track and development of athletes at the high school level and keeping the sport pure in regards to not being a participation sport. Granted, he tends to have larger teams on the teams that he's been on, but he teaches the sport. He teaches how to win. He teaches how to lose. And he's just been instrumental in my development when I first got into coaching track and field at Hayward. And he showed me that I can love the sport. I don't have to, I'm going to say this and it's come out wrong at first. I don't have to love every kid that I coach, but I have to love what they do for me and how they grow programs and how they grow the sport and whatnot. So, you know, the story goes back, I was in Eugene for the World's Youth Championships, the clinic that happened after, and I'm walking by is it the Ugly Duck? Is that the bar? That's right.
Wild Duck.
Wild Duck.
Wild Duck.
Wild Duck. There you go. And I see his truck out front, and I text him. I'm like, Peter Brewer, why am I in Eugene seeing your truck? He's like, there's a big track meet. I drive there. And that's just who this man is. And he's awesome. And he taught me that to love track is to love all of it, all the bad, stinky parts and all the great, shiny parts. So I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for keeping on and enjoy that retirement life. But we know that you're going to coach for a little bit longer. So thank you. Well, here we are again. We finished another episode, 4 tiles. No one's been muted today. Intentionally, anyways.
Lamar almost caught one when he started trying to do Key Sweat.
Well,
Woo.
I know, right?
I was tempted to give you a little bit, but after that, you just ruined it. So.
Wait, I forgot. Sir Lucious can sing. We really should have let him sing a song.
Not tonight.
I mean,
I couldn't be worse than you, that's for sure.
I mean, there's no doubt. I will be the first person to admit I love to sing, and I sing very poorly.
Okay.
Well, we will have to.
One of these nights, I'll do that.
Yeah, we'll have to pencil that in. We'll schedule that into the show. So, gentlemen.
But we get to pick the song, though.
Whoa.
Oh boy. Okay.
And now it's spicy.
It'll be some of that Bay Area nonsense in it. We're not doing
We'll get him on Sam Kaylani or something.
There you go.
Well, have a great week. If you're competing this week, everyone out there, have a great
Good luck.
competition this week. Stay safe, wear your mask, follow the rules, don't get kicked out of meet. We want to hear that story if it does happen. But other than that, thank you all. Have a great evening and have a great week.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics, LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place to appeal to go further. Hey, Wally, Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these 4 corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.